And so we know that he loves conversation. And so typically during this time, he actually gets to know people, introduces us to people. And so we just thought that today we'd just flip it up. And so we're going to have Deacon Brother Gerald Boudreaux is going to interview our pastor, Pastor Sherman Ford. So you're in for a treat. Thank you for staying with us and watching us online. And let's get ready.
Well, good morning, everybody. And thank y'all for, of course, being here on this fantastic day to celebrate a fantastic man, a fantastic pastor, my friend. You know, I call him SJF. You guys can't call him that. I can call him that. But, Pastor, we just want to say thank you for just, taking time to be interviewed. And it's my pleasure to actually have this forum with you. So, thank you. So happy birthday. And how are you feeling today?
Man, good morning, Jay. Thank you, sir, for the happy birthday wishes. I am blessed and really highly favored. It's an overused term, but, man, I'm excited to be here. And can I say to you, I love the goatee. I love the goatee that you're sporting now. It looks good on you.
I'm just trying, my barber and them, they told me that, I had just a plain, just a plain butter cake face. So I needed to kind of,
I'm going to leave that alone,
trade it up a little bit. But,
yes,
Pastor, we just kind of want to know, everyone kind of knows you from, behind the pulpit and all the work that you do around here. But maybe kind of don't really know just some personal things, about you. So as you celebrate, this birthday and, growing up in San Jose, California, I tried my best to remember the address. You told it to us so many times, but I got the numbers all confused. So, but just tell me, as growing up, what do you remember? How was your birthday spent?
Man, you know what? How was my birthday spent? Well, growing up, there were really three addresses. One is 875 South Jackson Avenue. The other one is 937 East Baghdad Place in San Jose, California. And then we lived on Wisteria Lane in East Palo Alto, California. And when I say East Palo Alto, Deacon Charlie and Godot, we know there's a difference between East Palo Alto and Palo Alto. I'll say to you like this. Palo Alto is where Stanford University is. East Palo Alto is not where Stanford University is. And so when I was a little boy, we lived there. But, man, it was beautiful, Jay. I have a big family. It was magnificent. Birthdays were almost communal. You know what I mean? Kind of community. Your family's from Texas. My dad's from Texas. So it's kind of that community feel, man, but it was always good.
So having a twin, and you guys, of course, having a twin, you guys celebrated, have the same birthday. Was there anything different? Did you have a cake? Did she have a cake? Or did y'all just have, your own cupcakes? Or how was that celebrating a birthday with the twin?
That's good, man. You know what? It was always together. So we always celebrated, of course, the same day. And it was never really, I don't ever remember having anything separate. So Sherman and I would always celebrate together. As a matter of fact, I talked to her on the phone this morning. I didn't talk to her. I texted her this morning and told her happy birthday. She's in another city right now. But it was always just community, communal. And what I really remember is getting together with friends. And back in the day when I was coming up, man, it was at the house. Okay. Yeah, Deacon Boudreaux, it was at the house, So we didn't do the whole Chuck E. Cheese. No.
McDonald's.
We didn't do that. That's what y'all did in Texas, man. We didn't do that in the Bay. No.
So we all know that, of course, you love, Kool-Aid, cartoons, music. But, one thing you've never really told us is, what's your favorite flavor of Kool-Aid?
Man, you know what? When I was coming up, and I always say I love Kool-Aid and cartoons, as you know. Mm-hmm. But I haven't drank Kool-Aid in probably 15, 20 years. I love it, but it's too sweet, if you follow what I mean, for me. So I haven't drank it since then, but I have that memory. But my favorite flavor was probably, I don't even know if there was a flavor, man. It was just red. It was just red Kool-Aid. Was it a flavor? I don't know. Was it a flavor, Sam? I don't know if it was a flavor, Mike. It was red. It was red. I didn't care too much for grape, but that red. That
Most
red,
black folks like grape Kool-Aid.
Man, I know. That's the Mississippi side of me coming out.
Well, tell us. Which do you, of course, the theme, superhero, and you're our super sweet sugar Sherm, So what is your favorite superhero? Or shall I say, which superhero do you identify with the most and why?
Man, I tell you what, the one that fascinates me more than anyone else hands down, is Batman. And the reason is Batman is the only superhero without a superpower. So he blows me away. I don't know if y'all know what I mean by that. I mean, Superman is from Krypton. Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider. On and on it goes. Thor and all the rest. But Batman is every man with $1 gazillion, and the ability to be courageous. And so Batman is the one that fascinates me, the Dark Knight.
Okay. And now tell me, of your 5, what would 5 of your closest friends say that your superpower is, using 1 or 2 words?
Man, I tell you what, I have a close, cool court cronies who are all clergy. I'm talking about senior pastors, to your point. And one of the things that they used to say about me is they used to call me Sponge. They say Sherman is Sponge, Sherman is Sponge. And what they meant by that was I never repeat what I hear. So I am the guy who you say something to me, for the most part I'm going to the grave with it. And so that's one of the things, is Sponge. The other thing is he ain't going or he ain't coming. That's another phrase, right? If they're going out to do, fellowship, for the most part, over the majority of my life, man, Jay, to my bad, man, I didn't go out.
Was that for any particular reason?
Man, I had this commitment to family, this commitment to children, this commitment to, the Lord, to the church, and I just didn't see a whole lot of time to do the other. To my bad. That's a bad part. That's bad on my part.
Yeah. I mean, are you looking? To correct that, or
I'm looking to balance it.
Necessarily correct or balance that.
Yeah, okay. I am. Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, and as far as you of course, Lady T. I'm sure you're her, superhero, and Kennedy and Kiara, they're superhero. Who has been your superhero in life, man or woman?
Man.
And what has made them your superhero?
That is huge. That is huge. What a huge question. Of course, I would say, first and foremost, from the human perspective, my parents. Man, my mother is the heroine of all heroines, period. Hands down, stop the press, stop breathing, earth stops turning, the stars stop shining. It is Juanita Olivia Haynes Ford, period. And so for me, in terms of superheroes and all that kind of thing, I think about parents. And so I think about my mother, Noxapater, Mississippi, born and raised, 400 people there today. Who gives birth to 11 children? Who has the life she had? From Mississippi to California to putting up with all of us. Here's a funny story. I've told it before, which is why some of you that saw my youngest daughter, Kennedy, on the screen, and then you saw Am, who was not a birth daughter, but an adopted daughter on the screen. And so one of the things Kennedy said, if those of you, if anyone here was in early worship, you heard Kennedy say, Dad, happy 55th, 56th, or 57th birthday. Here's the joke. The joke is that my sister and I, we're getting older, whatever the case is. And so Jay, my mother again, she, on our birth certificate, my twins and our birth certificate, there's 2 different years. This is the original certificate. And so we get older. This is like adulthood. We're like, Mom. My sister finds the certificate. She holds it. She lies to everyone and tells everyone she's 3 minutes older than me. Really, I'm 3 minutes older than her, but it's not a big deal. So I let her get away with a lie. But anyway, my mother, we go to my mom and say, Mom, which year is right on the birth certificate? And she says to us, I don't know. I don't even remember. And so, man, that's the joke. Now, we give her a pass, right? Now, the reason why Kennedy says 55, 56, 57 is because a few years ago, I'm living in Scottsdale at that time. I'm on the phone with the IRS doing some stuff, and they make me identify myself. So I give my social. They say, okay, we got it. And they say, okay, give us your birthday. And I give it to them. They say, no, that's not it. And I say, oh, okay, so then it's this. They say, no, that's not it. And they say, you got one more chance to give us your birthday on the phone. So I just guess. I just throw a number out, the year. And they say, that's it. I say, okay. And so, man, that's the joke, right? That's really the joke. But my mother, heroine of the century, man, for all that she's done. And then my father, man, I don't care what anybody says about John Dewey Ford Jr., J.D. Ford, D-E-W-E-Y, John Dewey Ford Jr., born in Terrell, Texas, man, raised in the country, went to the Army. I don't care what anybody says. My father drank. My father was at the bar every night. My father worked like a Hebrew and an African slave combined. And my father took care of his family. And my father provided for his children. And so, man, I could go on and on and on about my dad, but those are my two earthly heroes, father and mother in that regard.
And in the world of, comics, we have DC, we have Marvel.
Yeah.
So help educate us because, I'm a comic person from the big screen.
Okay.
I've never, had the books and turned the pages and got all off into that. So are you a DC comic guy? Are you a Marvel comic guy?
Man.
Which one, if you had to choose one, which one would it be?
You know what? I just said I like Batman, who's DC, but if I had to choose one, I would choose Marvel. Man, I like Marvel. I like Marvel over DC for whatever reason. I think they were a little bit more creative, Okay. So.
Now, when was the last time you actually physically read a comic book?
Man, the last time I picked one up was a few months ago. As a matter of fact, as I look at my sister Robin, Gail Robin Roberts. I call her Gail Robin. Gail Robin is her middle name, but I call her Robin by her middle name. And so Gail, as I look at Deacon Roberts, you remember Robin when you gave me a comic book? And she gave me a classic, man, wrapped up in plastic. And so it's probably the last one, that I looked at recently. And then I also have, man, you'll appreciate this. I have the Death of Superman comic book in plastic. Is when he dies. Now he came back to life, but he dies in that one. So, but I have that. I wish I had the box. Jay, did you have comic books, man, when you were coming up? You didn't have them.
No,
what'd y'all have?
I collected like sports cards and marbles.
Yeah.
I collected marbles.
Man, I'm so sorry.
You could play marbles and then you could take people's marbles.
Man, listen, we had
take nobody's comic.
one of my mother's purses, man, was filled with marbles. Really? We had cat's eyes and steelies. You know what a steely is? And the boulders and all that. I probably could have beat you, man. We got to play some marbles.
Oh, yeah, we got to play some marbles. So that's interesting. So you said your mother's purse was filled with marbles.
Yeah.
Now, back in the day when we used to get in trouble, we used to get hit with anything our mother had. So did she use that purse?
No, man, we would be dead. We would be dead. Man, that was one of her purses was what we put all of our marbles in. But we used to play marbles just like you did, just for fun, man. It was cool playing marbles, man. I did all kind of stuff. Remember, I have 8 sisters, man. I played jacks. I jumped rope.
Really?
I played in the dirt. I played basketball. I played football. I ran track. But I did that, man. I have 8 sisters. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. I did all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and you love music. So, and of course, you love Babyface. So, Batman's your favorite superhero.
Mm-hmm.
How is there a correlation, any kind of way, of Babyface and Batman to you? Or which superhero would you correlate to your favorite musician?
Well, man, Kenneth Edmonds, to me, everybody else calls him Babyface, but he and I talk regularly, so his name is Kenneth Edmonds. Man, that Negro, I mean, honest to God, and I love him. I think he has been put on the planet by God to do what he does. And I know, again, some people don't connect with this, and that's okay. You're just not mature enough yet to connect with this. But understand this, and I really mean this, Mike, that God can, will, and does use people in the place he placed them to do whatever he does for his glory. So Kenneth Edmonds, man, he makes what I call life music, right? And so he just speaks to death. He speaks to marriage. He speaks to divorce. He speaks to love. He speaks to children. The day, when his child was born, he just speaks to that kind of stuff. So I think Kenneth Edmonds is very much that. He has a song called, where's Angie Jackson, called When Men Grow Old. Please Hammer Don't Hurt. I mean, just crazy. I think one of his best albums to me is he did an album back just before Jesus' crucifixion called Tender Love. And then years later, just a few years ago, he did another one called Return of the Tender Lover. Here's what's awesome about it, is that every song is positive. There's not a single negative song. Y'all ever get an album? And there's like a sad song, there's a high song, there's a low song. Every song is positive. So I appreciate that about Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. And there's 2 other people I want to mention. One is a guy most of us don't listen to. His name is Billy Joel. Drop every single mic on every continent in every country. And in the outer atmosphere. If there was ever a songwriter that can really do some stuff, his name is Billy Joel. As a matter of fact, this morning, had I preached this morning, Roz, I was going to open up with one of his songs. Magnificent guy. And of course, everybody at our church knows I love me some Diana Krall, who's a jazz musician. I love me some Grover Washington Jr. Drop the Mic on Wine Light. Just, so many of them. I love Sade Adu. As a matter of fact, I want to go see Sade. Sade Adu, man. I have her live in New York, and there's only one Sade. And she called me the other day, and she said, Sherman, I said, yes. She said, you give me the sweetest taboo. I said, okay, I think you will. So I'm just joking. She didn't say that. Okay, go ahead, Jay. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong. You're not going to meet her, so.
No, man, she's all that. And she's African. A lot of people miss Sade being African, but she's African. And I appreciate her. I appreciate a lot of them. And then finally loves and really has got me hooked on this little short girl. Looks a little bit like Tiffany. What's her name? Teresa, Tammy. No, Tamia. That's her name, Tamia. And so, man, Tamia is off the chart. And I'll say this about Tamia. Tamia can sing her tail off.
Yeah,
she's married to a guy named Grant Hill. And those of you that are watching, do yourself a favor after this piece. Go to YouTube and pull up Tamia singing. Fine, help me here. Pull up Tamia singing the whining song, Wherever I Go. Let your spirit.
That's a bad jam.
She need to be singing gospel, flat out. You
So
didn't ask me all that.
what would be your go-to song?
Ooh, man, you know what? For me, if it was a go-to song, it would be jazz. Because words bother me. Words paint a picture that jazz does not. So one of my favorite jazz songs is a song called Jammin', Jammin', apostrophe, no G, Jammin' apostrophe by Grover Washington Jr. It's an old song. You guys know who Grover is, right? So Grover Washington Jr. went home to be with the Lord a number of years ago. But that brother there, the album Wine Light is my favorite of his. It's not anthology, it's Wine Light. But Jammin' is all that. And he has another one, Wine Light. The song Wine Light from the album Wine Light is a great song. And then he has another one on there. It has vocals to it. Anybody here ever heard of a woman named Patti LaBelle? Yeah.
She's the one, she makes pies.
She makes pies.
Okay,
That's what she's known for.
Okay, yeah.
It's pies,
so.
not for singing. But, man, Patti LaBelle is on that album, Jay. And, man, she's all that. But I would say that Gerald Albright, love him. There's another guy that I love who's jazz. His name is David Sanborn. Another guy named Peter White. Peter White's a bad boy. One other guy named Michael Franks. Let me drop both feet. Michael Franks. Boy, y'all listen. Just Google him. Michael Franks. He has an album called The Art of Tea. The Art of Tea. That means it's above the head. And shoot. You know, there's another guy that I love, and I have his autobiography. And many of you would say, Passport, what? This dude is, I think he's like 91 now. His name is Tony Bennett. Forget about it. Tony Bennett. That's all I got for you.
So you have
Barefoot on the Beach, The Art of Tea, A Monkey See, Monkey Do. He has a song called When Sly Calls.
You have a very, very, very broad palette of music, Pastor. I mean, I didn't realize that.
Yes, sir.
Your music,
Yes,
taste was that deep. So thank you for that. But now, when we was coming up, you got me by just a few chicks. But I always say, if I keep living, I'll catch you.
Right.
So when we were coming up, there was this big debate. Who was the guy? Was it Michael Jackson? Was it Prince? Was it Michael Jackson? Was it Prince? Man. So which one? Which one was yours? Man. Michael Jackson or Prince, and why?
Unfair question. Because they are like the sun and the moon. They kind of need each other. Now, coming up, I was more Michael Jackson. Here's why. I was born African American, black, in a black home with Southern parents, Prince did not fly in my house. In terms of, Prince was a little more risque. But man, when you talk about, now, I'll say this. Michael Jackson was who I grew up with. If you ever came to my home years ago, you would have to sit down and watch my Michael Jackson DVDs. And it would take about 2 days to do that. And so, I like Michael Jackson. But when it comes to musicianship, there's no question. It is Prince Rogers Nelson. That guy can play, every instrument? He writes like crazy. And then you all will remember this. Before he died, did you notice how he switched up the format? He said, Sherman. I said, yes, Prince. He said, I want you to come to where I'm at. Vaughn gets that. That's I just quoted El DeBarge, but y'all don't know that. That's El DeBarge and a guy by the name of 50 Cent, a little rapper. But let me just say this. So vocally, I would give it the body of work. You cannot compare Prince's body of work to Michael's. Michael beats him hands down in terms of sheer body of work. I mean, when you started at age 5 and you go home at age 50, 5, whatever it was, and Prince is awesome, man. I love that dude. I love him. His vocabulary, his vocal stylings are great. It's an unfair question. I don't even know. Who's your favorite, man, out of Prince and Michael?
Kind of the same, growing up. I mean, I was a Michael guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my Beat It jacket, and all of that. I thought,
man, you had a Beat It jacket?
I had a Beat It jacket. I didn't
you
have
the red
glove.
leather?
I didn't have the glove, but
okay.
I had me a Beat It jacket. I mean, I thought I was clean while going to school, Beat It.
I want to see a picture, man. Show me a picture. Yeah.
So, but I was Michael growing up, and then, of course, but now as I've gotten older, Prince, just from a musical standpoint, I love his music. But me, I always used to think that I was going to be the 5th member of New Edition before Johnny Gill.
Man, bro, for real. Don't get me started on New Edition, man.
I mean, I love
them, man.
Edition.
I love them, man.
So if you was to have an artist whom you have not seen in concert, that's someone that, before, my Passover, I have to see this artist or these artists. Who would that be and why?
Man, I tell you what, the one I would want to see now more than anybody is Tony Bennett. I would want to see Tony Bennett. Because Tony Bennett is now, he just wrote his 4th autobiography. I don't know who writes for. I think he's now, 91, something like that. So I don't know that he's going to be here that much longer, although age doesn't mean that. But it would be hands down Anthony Tony Bennett that I would want to see today. Other than that, man, there's so many others. I'm kind of old school, so give me a Charlie Wilson in concert.
Okay.
Give me
Charlie Wilson or Charlie Wilson with the Gap Band?
Charlie Wilson. The Gap Band was cool, right? But man, Uncle Charlie, he got a new one out.
Oh, he does?
And it's all that. Man, I would love to see the Isley Brothers. I would love to see the OJs. I would love to see, who was I just listening to the other day? Fine, your boy, baldhead, Joe. I would love to see Joe. I would love to see Joe, man. I would love to see Joe. Joe is all that, yeah. I don't know, man. There's so many. There's so many. But again, I tell you who I would go see every year, and I try to go see every year Kenneth Edmonds.
Okay.
Jill Scott. I would love to see Jill Scott. I would love every year to go see, and I would like to go see her in Europe, Diana Krall. I've seen her once. She is. Y'all do yourself a favor. I promise you, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I really mean this. She's married to Elvis Costello. Diana Krall is indescribable to me. Her vocal stylings, her ability to play the piano. And here's what she does. I tell you who I wish I could have seen. If I go back in time, Nat King Cole. She does a tribute album to Nat King Cole. Y'all know Nat King Cole. Forget about it. Mike. And Mike, he had his own show, television show. I think he was the first African American with his own variety show years ago. Forget about it. So you can't really think about Diana Krall and not think about Nat Cole. But man, I would go see Diana every single year. Yeah.
Now, when you were coming up, when did you start really getting into music? As a little kid, or as you matured more, or when was music your safe space?
Man, you know what? I think, man, I like that question, safe space, Jay. Man, let me just say this, man. Really from birth, because I was the youngest of all those children, so I never controlled the music.
Technically, Sherman was the youngest.
Technically, Sherman was the youngest. Yeah, 3 minutes. But man, so I don't know if any of y'all ever grew up with older siblings and you had no control of the TV or the record player or the 8-track or the cassette or the Soul Train. And so it's one of the reasons why I like older music, right? And so Marvin Gaye, all that kind of stuff. So man, I love older music. But really my favorite genre, I would say, so when I was a child coming up, and the other thing that impacted me more than anything else, and I've talked a lot about jazz and R&B, I'm R&B guy more than I am what you would call hip-hop. What you call hip-hop, I call R&B second generation, because there is no hip-hop without rhythm and blues. And so rhythm and blues to me is the highest. But, man, there is nothing that hit me or hits me now like gospel music. Because I don't care what you talk about. If you talk about blues, B.B. King, Bobby Blue Bland, just keep going on and on. I mean, if you talk about that, it all comes out of the black church. All of it comes out of the black church. One of the things that Fran and I saw was Kenneth Edmonds singing where? At the church in Las Vegas. That Negro went to church, man, and got up and sang happy birthday to the pastor and his mother. I was like, see, that's why I like this dude right here. Man, I mean, connected. But the truth of the matter is, man, gospel music changed my life. And one of the groups that changed my life was a group called the Winans. Forget about it.
That's going to be my next follow-up question. So who is your gospel artist? Like your gospel, if you was to choose one, or let's just say two, because one is very difficult. So if you was to have two, who would be your chosen, hey, I need to, Tiffany, we're listening to them today.
I tell you what, and most people don't know this about me. My daughters would probably know this. Fine, I think knows this now. My favorite gospel album of all time. My mother loved, Mary Austin, you'd appreciate this, the old Aretha Franklin album, Mary, when Aretha had the head wrap on. Remember that one? I think it was Precious Lord. But my favorite gospel album, and it has been for about, I don't know how many years now, a couple of decades, Jay, is an album by a woman named Olita Adams. Okay. Now, she's popular for a song called Deacon Wallington, called Get Here, which was made famous. She made it more famous, but Robin, really, it was done before her by another sister. But Olita Adams has an album, a gospel album, that will blow you away. As a matter of fact, I was so blown away by it years ago. Before my mother went home to be with the Lord, I wrote Robin my funeral service. I've been doing so many, I'm in my 30s now. I've been doing so many funerals. And, you all don't even know, again, let me just say this during COVID, Jay, that this is Deacon Boudreaux. He and I are friends. I call him Jay. And so no disrespect there. Man, make a long story short, I was doing a lot of funerals, and I said, man, I need to get myself in order. I wrote my funeral out. Everything, who I wanted to do, everything, sent it to my mother. And my mother called me, she was like, boy, you like that? I'm like, no, I just wanted to get it, down. I've seen a lot of people fighting at funerals and so forth and so on. Now, I say that, you asked me that question, it links to that. I said, in my funeral program, the song, I really want y'all to get Olita Adams to come. I mean that. Notice I didn't laugh? I really mean that. If the church does anything for me, call Olita Adams. See if you can get her to come and sing some songs off that album. But I had the songs selected. I even had the singers selected. But over decades, that changes. Y'all know what I mean? Time happens. People pass away. People go on, whatever the case is. But, man, that's my favorite album, hands down. I love the Winans. I love so many of them. My favorite gospel choir guy was James Cleveland. He pastored in Southern California. There was no person like him to me. But my favorite album, and people don't know Olita for that. Pull it up. It's going to bless your life. It'll make me cry every time.
Well, we all know, too, just kind of making a little shift here, that you are probably one of the most finickiest eaters out there.
Yeah.
So when you were coming up, did you not get to eat certain stuff, or what made you this finicky eater, and then what do you like to eat?
Man, you know what? I had to clear my mind. Man, I'll tell you what I really, I have been a plain eater all my life because I'm a visual eater.
Okay.
So it's visual and it's texture.
A visual eater.
If I don't like the way it looks, I won't even taste it. So I've never had mustard, mayonnaise, relish, ketchup.
So I'm assuming you don't eat potato salad.
Never. Never. Man, it has mayonnaise in it and mustard? No. Never. And I've not even tried it. I just don't like the way it looks. That's what I mean when I say visual and texture. Cream corn, I was like, Mom, what is that? She was like, I'm not eating that. You know, grits. I didn't have grits till I was preaching in Louisville, Kentucky for the Reverend Dr. Walter Malone Jr. He took me to a restaurant called the Zephyr Grill.
Okay.
And they had grits, and he ordered grits. And so I ate grits for the first time, and I found out I liked them okay. But man, have you looked at a grit? So I looked at a grit, I was like, I don't like grits.
Butter and sugar
Butter
and all
and
that.
sugar,
It looks
man,
good. It looks good. It looks appetizing.
Man, I'm very plain. I'm very plain. So we were out last night at the birthday party, Kel, and I had the vegetarian plate. And they told me it had like Dijon mustard mixed in with the, I was like, no, thank you. You know, so I ate like broccoli. They had broccolini, and they had these little itty bitty baby carrots. Man, this is why I don't really go to folks' house to eat, because I don't want people to be offended. But all of our church knows.
Well, how did that work? You know, growing up, you had all those brothers and sisters, and I'm guessing you're from Knoxville, Mississippi, and then Texas. I'm sure they didn't say super sugar sweet Sherman.
No.
We're just going to give you your choice of what you're going to eat. So how did that work out as a kid? You just ate cereal?
Man, now you're playing. But man, I promise you, cornflakes were my best friend. Coming up in terms of that, and my mother told me, boy, one day you're going to get hungry enough and eat what's on your plate. But other than that, man, I just ate, mashed potatoes, no gravy, because gravy looks kind of funny. So no gravy, I ate gravy many years later and found out that I like it, but it can't be lumpy. So I don't know where I got that from, man. I didn't want my food to touch on the plate. I don't know where I got that from. But
it touches when it gets all in your mouth.
It touches when it gets to your mouth, but it's different, man, when it's mixed up. Like now, my favorite meal is brown rice, a bag of frozen mixed vegetables, some chicken that has been baked, take the skin off, put it in there, and I'm happy.
So you like chicken on the bone or off the bone?
Well, I like chicken, period,
Okay.
On or off. But if I'm going to make it with brown rice, mixed vegetables, and chicken, I'm going to take it off the bone. I'll bake it with the skin on it, take the skin off, give the skin to somebody else, put it in there, mix it up, and God is king. So, man, I'm just good like that. But my favorite food is probably, man, I love steamed broccoli.
Okay, steamed broccoli.
Not over-steamed. I love it. If we go to Charleston's, what am I going to get? I'm going to get me 2 sides of broccoli. 2 sides of broccoli. They put too much butter on it, but 2 sides of broccoli and some other stuff.
So if you ate something different or whatever, it would probably just shock your whole system.
It probably would shock my system. And I did not long ago. Someone was trying to encourage me to eat something that was different, and it totally messed my system up. And so, man, my system was like, what? What is that? So, man, no, I'm not adventurous when it comes to food.
Okay.
I'm really not.
Now, I know we always talk about sports and stuff, too.
And I'm sorry, man, about Dallas. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
There's nothing to be sorry about. I mean, we're the greatest professional sports organization out there. But, we talk about basketball, and who I say is the greatest player ever.
Yeah.
That's that number 32 for the Los Angeles Lakers,
Yes, sir.
Magic Johnson.
Yes,
so
sir.
who is your favorite? Are you a Jordan guy? Are you a Kobe guy?
Yeah.
Who is? And if it was Jordan or Kobe, who are you choosing?
Well, man, let me say I'm from Cal, right? And so Magic Johnson is the king of California. When it comes to the NBA, doesn't matter who it is, that 100-watt smile, JB, man, that dude, just all that. Even when he got, man, you remember when Magic Johnson made the announcement about being HIV positive? Mm-hmm. Man, that crushed. I mean, we were crying and stuff. So, man, I love Magic, hands down. Love his philanthropy. Matter of fact, we were at a Babyface concert. Mm-hmm. And about 4 rows from us, what Boys to Men. Okay, thank you, Mike. Was Magic Johnson. So, man, I love him. But if I had to choose between Kobe and Michael, it was always Michael until Kobe passed away. And that's when, man, I really came to appreciate, and it's a shame, his legacy.
Yeah. I think a lot of people kind of forget, kind of who and what Kobe was on that basketball court. But I know we have to kind of wrap this up, but I was kind of saving this question for last. Every single superhero needs a savior. Every single one.
Right.
Batman, he had Alfred.
Right.
He can call, and Spider-Man, had his what was that? His aunt or
his aunt, his uncle.
Whatever. That he had. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, of course, your Savior is, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So can you just, share with us, briefly, how and when, did you feel that, God rescued you and just put you behind the pulpit to help, develop, us as, your under shepherds from him?
Man. Okay. Ask me that again differently.
Briefly, in summary, how God has rescued and shaped you to who you are today.
Okay. So, man, you know what? I'm going to tell this same old story. Same old story. My name is Sherman Joel Ford. Same story. And remind me of this word, bookends. Okay. So my mother gave birth to my sister and I. Didn't know she was giving birth to twins. You know this story.
Yes, sir.
And so they didn't name us. My mother was shocked. My mother found out there was another baby when she's on the delivery table. So they said there's another one. My mother, I always joke that she passed out. I wasn't, there, but she was like, there's another what? I'm sorry, excuse me. So I'm not going to have 10, I'm going to have 11. And so we're named by the Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church in Palo Alto, California. And they named my sister and I Sherman Joel Ford, Shermaine Noel Ford. My name, Sherman, is shearman, a shepherd, one who shears or shaves or manicures sheep. My middle name, Joel, means that God is Jehovah, or Jehovah is God. My last name, Ford, means a place of refuge and strength. So my name means a under shepherd whose God is Jehovah, that takes sheep to a place of refuge and strength. And I was named by a church, which is a crazy idea. And then bookends. Today is not just my twins and my birthday. My oldest sister, her name is Tina Olivia Haynes. Tina is also born on May 16th. So we're bookends. My mother's first child is May 16th. My mother's last children are May 16th. Wow. So when I put together the birth, name, nature, bookends, I think that was God speaking to me about my life. So I don't have a question about that. We do have questions about seasons, right? But no question about that, James.
Well, Pastor Ford, SJF, we want to say thank you.
Love you, man.
Thank you for, just putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, which lets us know that we can be put in uncomfortable situations and still come out shining. So we just want to thank you. Thank you for opening up yourself to us. For those who learned, hopefully you guys have learned something that they didn't know about you, which is a blessing. And so we just want to say thank you, Lady T. Thank you for asking me to do this. This was an honor for me to be able to have this intimate moment with you, because trying to catch you intimately is you're like a rabbit just going all over the place. So it's just been really good. Happy birthday.
Thank you, man.
I hope that this is just the first of a continued day of fantastic celebration to you. So we just want to say thank you. We love you, and God continue to bless you.
Love you, brother. Thank you. Thank you, Gerald. Thank you, Gerald. Okay.
And let's get ready for a fantastic